Part 1, Chapter 26. The Jeep hurtles along the dirt road. The captain smokes one cigarette after another, scattering a line of discarded butts almost as though he's leaving a trail for somebody. I sit quietly, relishing the sensation of not being afraid of him for the first time. We travel for a few miles on the road and stop as the sky begins to darken. The captain jumps out and pushes through the undergrowth and vines. I follow until we reach a clearing beside the river. Four soldiers are gathered around the warm glow of an open fire. They stand, bow, and salute. The captain doesn't acknowledge the gesture. He grunts instead and heads downriver alone, into the darkness. Soon I see the red tip of yet another cigarette glowing in the distance. One of the soldiers comes bounding over. It's Bindu, and he throws his arms around me in a bear hug. I was hoping it would be you, he says. Captain told us he was bringing a recruit. We join the other three boys beside the fire. They're all on the unwritten but well-known list of the captain's most expendable soldiers, the ones he thinks are least loyal. I notice they're armed with new assault rifles, though. Look, Bindu says proudly, pointing to the stock of his weapon. He's scratched the letters of his name there, and in the firelight, I can see that he's done it right. Nice work, Bindu. Do you know how to shoot it? Not really, Bindu answers. We only got them yesterday. But he says we'll need them for the mission, and they're not too different from the old ones. Mission? I ask. What mission? Don't know. It's time to find out, comes a voice from behind me. The captain must have finished his cigarette. You'll be heading out first thing in the morning. Where are we going, sir? One of the other asks. What are we supposed to do? Bindu adds. Shut up and listen. A group of rebels has been stockpiling a stash of weapons in a hut across the border. Your mission is to spy out the cache and return with news so that we can send troops in to claim the weapons for Burma. How do we get there? Bindu asks. I told you to listen, didn't I? You'll start in the morning and walk along the river for most of the day, but stay on the trail. It should be clear of mines until you cross the bridge into Thai territory. You'll have to camp somewhere because you won't reach the bridge by nightfall. Cross the bridge, and once you reach a spring, look for a side trail veering to the left into the teak trees. That's supposed to be a shortcut. But if you don't see it, keep to the main trail and look for the next left-hand split. Take that, and soon you'll reach the hut. What then? Bindu asks. Slam! The captain's hand meets Bindu's face with such force that my own face aches in sympathy. Bindu is dazed, rubbing his cheek where the blow fell. Any more interruptions? The captain asks. Nobody answers. Once you get there, your job is easy. Stay hidden, estimate the number of weapons and rebel soldiers, and bring back the news. Be careful and be smart, boys. Kill any rebels you see along the way, except for you, teacher, because I'm out of weapons. I don't respond. I wouldn't know what to do with one of those complicated new rifles anyway. Is he disappointed by my lack of protest? Can he sense his loss of power? His expression is hard to read in the firelight. If you're captured, get as much information as you can and escape, he says. If nobody gets back, we'll assume you failed and another team will be sent to do the job. But I hope all of you return. The Army will reward you well. And for an extra bonus, one of you has agreed to give me a full report of this mission. I won't tell which one. You'll have to figure that out for yourselves. The other boys glance around suspiciously. Who has agreed to be the captain's informer? It can't be Bindu. He's neither crafty nor mean enough to agree to something like that. And they don't know it can't be me, or do they? The captain smirks at our reaction. Always watch for traitor, boys. I have one last instruction. The teacher will walk first, ahead of the rest of you. I don't want to lose any trained soldiers to mines. So that's why he needed Thai. It's my job to be a mine clearer. Still, I don't regret. With a shrug, he turns and heads back to the Jeep, and we watch him disappear into the darkness. Chapter 27. We start our mission at dawn. At first, the captain's directions are easy to follow, and I jog ahead of the other boys, following the path along the river. I've lived with fear ever since the day that they took Father. It feels wonderful to be free of it. At first, I almost feel like singing as sunlight streams through the canopy of leaves and sparkles on the water. But the morning wanes. Monsoon clouds cover the sun, and the air thickens. Trot, march, trudge, slog. The captain didn't give us food, so we have to forage for bananas and mangoes along the path. I try not to think of the taste of rice, fish, eggs, anything other than fruit. I try not to worry. By late afternoon, my legs are tired, my shirt is drenched with sweat, and I'm sick of the whine of mosquitoes. Fighting hard to keep my spirits up, I imagine Ty knocking on my mother's door and finding his sister. I picture him starting an office job, and each time we stop for a rest, I slide Lee's or Father's face from my pocket and cup it in my hand so the others can't see it. Once it gets dark, we settle ourselves for the night beneath an old teak tree. Dinner is the extra mango or banana we're each carrying, and somehow Bindu manages to light a small fire so we can roast the bananas. We don't talk much. Everybody's tired and hungry. Before long, it starts to rain and our fire sputters and dies. We fall asleep huddled together under the broad teak leaves. The next morning, it doesn't take us long to reach a rickety footbridge spanning the river and cross into Thailand. I start walking more cautiously now. I can almost hear Father's deep voice in my head. Being brave doesn't give you license to be stupid, Chico. I'm still not too worried about detonating landmines. Not yet, anyway. This part of the path is well used. It shouldn't have anything buried along or beside it. I'm thinking more of wild animals, leopards and cobras and other creatures, or people who might leap out at any moment to ambush us. I'm starting to miss that rifle now. If only I had some kind of weapon. At first, the other four, even Bindu, keep a safe distance from me, trying to step in the footsteps I'm leaving in the mud. They walk in a tight pack, aware that the enemy might be lurking around any corner or that a mine might explode under my feet. After a while, though, when nothing happens, they get careless again and catch up. By the time we reach the spring, the main trail has dwindled into a slim, muddy line that keeps disappearing under vines and leaves. In the slippery circle around the spring, we stop to get our bearings. Bindu shares his canteen with me and squats beside the water to refill it. The other three start arguing about which direction we're supposed to be heading. I spot a bamboo pole in the sunshine beside the spring. One end is carved into a sharp point, just like the captain's. The pole will give me a better chance of survival if we meet wild beasts or rebels. I'm glad the others are too distracted by their argument to notice me picking it up. The bamboo feels warm and alive in my hands. Captain said to find a trail heading left at the spring, I say, pointing into the dense teak trees. Broken branches block the view. I don't see anything. Go look for it then, says one of the boys. It's almost noon. I want to get back across the border as soon as we can. Another one chimes in. We won't be able to count the cache in the dark. I scan the dense leaves around the broken branches. A mine could be anywhere in there. Let's stay on the main trail, I say. We'll keep an eye out for the first clear path to the left. They complain for a bit, but we agree. We walk for a while and then round a bend. Almost immediately, the main trail disappears into a thicket of brambles and trees and tall weeds. To the left is a wide, sunny field, and to the front and right is a wall of prickly foliage. There's no sign of any trail, the main one or a fork. What now, teacher? Maybe we should go back to the spring, I say. Another boy shakes his head. This field slopes up to a ridge. We might be able to see the trail from up there or even spot the hut. The field doesn't look safe, I say. What if I push through the bushes straight ahead? Maybe the main trail keeps going beyond these brambles. Good idea, Chico, Bindu says. The other boys aren't happy with this. If you don't get back in 10 minutes, we'll go through the field. Leaving them grumbling and arguing, I venture into the tangle, stepping carefully. It does look like the trail leads through this mess. I notice small crosses carved into the trunks of some of the trees. I'm watching for the markings and pushing my way through thorns and brambles. A few minutes later, when I hear it, bam! It's the loudest crash I've ever heard in my life, so loud it almost drowns out the screams and shouts. My companions must have detonated a mine. Why didn't they stay where they were? I take a few steps in the direction of the noise. Boom! This explosion sounds even louder than the first. The ground and the air and the bushes are on fire around me. I'm falling, howling, crashing into thorns and brambles. The last thing I remember is the bamboo slipping out of my grasp as I land with a thud.